So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our video of Jupiter in the third house in the sign of Leo for Gemini Ascendant, as in what happens when Jupiter is in the third house. Okay. And as always, if you do not know, if you have this particular position, what sign it's in, what nakshatra it's in, along with all your astrological details, check out the link here, astrology.com, where you'll find my books, reports, consultations, and link to my academy, Astrology Academy, where I'm currently teaching marriage course. Okay. Which actually, this will show you some of those things related to marriage. Okay, because remember, for Gemini, Jupiter rules the 7th and the 10th, but 7th house is more dominant because Jupiter is in a masculine sign, Gemini, which means Sagittarius is going to be the one that is going to give the most results for this person. So especially when the Jupiter Dasha runs, you will see, yes, 10th house will still work, but 7th house is like the dominant. Okay. So one thing you see with this particular Jupiter is that first of all, that the person is going to have to meet their spouse either online. Okay, online through siblings, or spouse especially will be either in inner circles or even could be a neighbor. Okay. The thing is with this particular position, it happens. For example, let's say if I did a reading for somebody who has Taurus ascendant and Mars is in the ascendant as a seventh lord. So what's going to happen? This is the same thing that is happening in this case. Both the spouse and the individual will have very, very similar traits. Why? Because yes, Jupiter is a seventh lord. Yes, Jupiter is a 10th lord. But what is Jupiter? Jupiter is the Jiva Atma, the Jiva Karka, the living soul of the chart. The person has a very strong essence of Jupiter in their life. And this is why you can't be just one thing. Your personality cannot be seen through ascendant or moon nakshatra, moon sign, or sun, or the Atma Karka. You're going to have to also involve the fifth element, Jupiter. Like that movie. I think it was Bruce Willis, right? Fifth element. All these things, this is why we have these 5 fingers. They create the person. So you will have that behavior. So naturally, both will have very strong ego. Both would like to solve and be a solution provider within the marriage. He will have solutions and she will have solutions. And this is where the headbutting will take place. Because it's like 2 kings are coming together. Right, Stewie? Here, Stewie, come here. You want to come? Come on, Stewie. Stewie. Okay. So that's one of the things. The other thing, both of these individuals deal with restarts in life. And especially this will happen until the age of 36. Till 36, a person deals with restarts. Not even 36, I would say until 32. Okay. After 32, the restarts slow down dramatically. Meaning like, they might be getting a job, losing a job, getting a job, losing a job, getting into a relationship, not working out, getting a proposal, not working out. Okay. And especially the thing is, on one hand, this is a particular Jupiter that actually brings in fulfillment of desires for the person after marriage, including the improvements in career. And the reason why we see this is not because Jupiter aspects the 7th and the 11th. No, you got to look at it in this way. The Padha of the 7th house lands in the 11th house, which means Padha is the step. So when you take a step, what happens? So you got married. So now what's your next step after marriage? That becomes the 11th house. And such a person naturally then develops. Because if the Padha of the 7th is in the 11th, person begins to focus on the 11th house. They become very determined to become entrepreneurs, have business, wanting to do something on their own. Now, why on their own? Because Aries is first sign, alone, me. And the thing is here, in that case, both these people, both the husband and wife, would want that me. I want this kid, I want this thing, I want this thing, I want this thing. So on one end, it becomes great. On one end, it's it becomes a very quite a repelling energy because two people are quite the same, or at least part of the individual will be like that. On the other hand, this is an excellent position for this person to get their message across. You don't need to be in sales, marketing, you don't need to be in media. Although this is a very strong position for media and including business. But the thing is, if you want to get your message across in your job, with your team, getting the message across with your family, then yes, this is the Jupiter that has the ability to convince. You can convince the spouse because spouse themselves, like I said, has this same Jupiter. So sometimes the convincing may not even be needed because both of you will agree upon that particular thing. And the reason why this particular Jupiter brings Bhagya Uday is because third house where Jupiter is ninth from the seventh house. So usually it brings blessings in marriage. Gives timely marriage if it's not retrograde. If it's retrograde, marriage would be delayed. And if it's retrograde, make sure you marry the person twice. You do your regular marriage, and after 3 months, do another marriage in a temple, mosque, priest, church, just a ceremonial marriage with the priest. And usually if then some other planets is influencing, that there's other rituals that I also recommend people. But for that, I have to see the chart. Okay. On the other hand, we also see after your birth, family saw expansion. Okay, after your birth, family saw expansion. You would also seen right after your birth, mother would have taken some kind of usually this happens in India, now may not happen in Western countries, but mother can take a pilgrimage. Okay. With this Jupiter, your children will always be blessed with gains and money. But one thing we see with this particular Jupiter, one's relationship with one's sibling, at least one of the siblings becomes barren. It becomes a desert. And the reason behind it could be several things. Main one being the ego, or the second one, as soon as you get married with this Jupiter, you suddenly start to cut relationships off around you, especially with the kicks and kin. You begin to loosen up those, either you move far away, they move far away, and you just don't have that zeal over time. And usually you will see this happen more in your 40s. One wouldn't care. Okay. Marriage gives you things, but also makes you alone. That's what happens. And on the other hand, we also see that if this is a particular Jupiter, that also brings blessings of a boy for your elder sibling. They would give birth to a boy with this placement. The other thing, this Jupiter, naturally, you will see if a person is not before, after marriage, loves to read classical knowledge, classical literature, love for writing becomes active. Although now, I don't know if anybody writes anymore. Because all you have to do is just give your idea to ChatGPT and it just creates everything that you want. But their interest would be there. Including even sense of music becomes alive post-marriage. Because Jupiter is actually one of the strongest tattva for singing, rhythm, ragas. Even though raga is Mercury, Jupiter is raga. Jupiter is the Akash tattva. You know what they say, Akashvani. Somebody speaking that everybody can hear. And third house represents the stage. So one may either be speaking to many people, which nowadays is simple. You have a social media account, you're speaking to people. On the other hand, you could be speaking to people on a platform. at some occasion, at some conference, or you could be in front of people on a stage singing. Okay. Um, you'll also see after one thing you will see, spouse will always kind of have this habit. First of all, spouse would only want to eat very simple, plain food, but always will criticize food. And they will especially criticize food when they go back to their home and eating. So after marriage, if you go and you visit your in-laws and all that, they'll always be like the salt is less, too much spice, too little spice. And you will also see with this Jupiter, the spouse, their discussion at the table always becomes about their career. Okay. Now, on the other hand, because Jupiter rules the 10th, goes into the third, one will be tremendously be focused on things connected with information. And their desire would be to expand something with information, whether it's information technology, whether it's like data science, data mining, whatever's out there. Maybe now you can talk about, creating agents, AI agents. Okay. You guys probably don't know. Just in the past month and a half, I could never expect this. And so I had to look at my wife's Dasha, but she learned coding within a month. Went through some rigorous boot camp. She's coding and dealing with AI. She's from a medical field, has no clue about coding or anything, but boom. And she's showing me, look, I did this, I did this, I did this. I'm like, okay. Surprising, but not surprising, especially when I looked at the Antradasha. And then I saw the transit of Rahu over that Antradasha. I'm like, okay, makes sense. Thank you, because I just learned something in astrology. So yeah, anyway, this was our Jupiter in the third house. And again, remember, if you need consultation, go to the link here. And remember, the link is in the description for my marriage course. So you will learn a whole lot, because I'm going to speed up probably by next week. Okay, thank you.